right here on the Kofeld Distributing Coaches Show on SEMO ESPN.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Redhawks Coaches Show with Coach Tuke. The Kofeld Distributing Redhawks Coaches Show. We are at Wings, etc., and we are right back here in Cape Girardeau, and we'll be here for the next few weeks. So we want to let you know to stop by and join us for lunch. Of course, their award-winning jumbo wings, both dine in and carry out, and an early happy birthday because tomorrow the Cape Girardeau location of Wings, etc., is turning 1 year old. Where did the year go? The 1 year anniversary here at Wings in Cape, and both locations, Cape Girardeau and Jackson, going to be celebrating, and you'll be the recipient of the celebration. They'll have half-price appetizers, adult beverage specials, and if you go to their social media, whether it is Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, share or like Wings, etc., and you are going to be automatically entered into a chance to win a $50 gift card from Wings, etc. So all kinds of things. Happy birthday to Wings, where they've got a lot more than just wings. They've got their full menu, including freshly made burgers, wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads. They have smoked ribs here at Wings, etc. And their famous appetizer lineup includes the ultimate nachos, the deep fried spicy pickle spears, and, of course, when you look around all of the high-def televisions, they've got all the best sports programming, including the NFL ticket. You want to watch the Cardinals clinch the NL Central tonight in high def? Come on over to Wings, etc. The game will be on. It's a comfortable, laid-back atmosphere with great food and friendly service. Coach Tom Matukewicz is here as we get ready for Ohio Valley Conference play, and it's raining on us today. I was kind of hoping it'd be a nice day. Do the players like practicing on a wet field?
No, I think they like good weather just like we all do, but, man, we can't complain because it's been beautiful.
Really has been, and on Saturday, it was, I think, right around 70, 71 degrees. It was overcast. You didn't have to deal with the pounding sun. So the weather on Saturday, not bad.
Yeah, it really was. It was one of those, it was almost cool and almost hot. It was just one of those days that was just right in between.
All right, we checked the weather forecast here for Saturday. You probably already looked at it.
Yep.
Coaches are also weathermen, right?
Yep, going to be a little cool, which is perfect by 6 o'clock, and no chance of rain, so it's going to be a great night.
That's one thing to keep in mind as well. The game this week against Murray State, it's the last night game, right?
Yep.
This is it. Everything's going to be afternoon at Hawk Stadium from here on out.
Yeah, if I got to pick, based on fans, I think a night game's just better. When you look at Cape Girardeau, Jackson area, there's a lot of things to do on a Saturday at 1 o'clock. You get old like me at 6 o'clock at night, there's a lot less things to do. And so I think we get a little better crowd when it's a night game.
So hopefully it will be a big crowd. And the locale with Murray State. Now, if you take 121, you can get here in an hour and 45 minutes. I mean, it is the shortest drive of any OVC school. So we should see a lot of gold and blue or yellow and blue here.
Yeah, for sure. I think a rival game, and a lot of people here locally, this game means a lot. You can kind of throw the records out, and it's Murray versus SEMO.
Well, and we'll talk more about Murray State, but suffice to say, it's one of those, I don't want to say it is just like the Oregon offense, but it's similar in terms of pace. They want to get the ball snapped. They want to get to the line of scrimmage. They want to go. If they can get 90 plays in a football game, they're happy.
Yeah, they're tempo and want to run as many plays as they can, and they have a lot of skill. And so, defensively, we got our work cut out for us, just making sure we get lined up, get our eyes set, and our feet set.
All right, let's recap. The Shorter University Hawks came to town on Saturday, 26-21. Shorter gets out of here with a victory. You had a chance there late, a drive where you got a 53-yard run from Tremaine McCullough. And on fourth down, they really put a good pass rush on. I thought they did a nice job of flushing the pocket there. And not a whole lot Dante Vanderbilt could do there. You gave yourself a chance late, but, and just watching every snap of that football game, it's one of those deals where it's nothing I saw that you lost the football game. Shorter went out and won the football game.
Well, first you need to give your hat off or tip your hat to Shorter. They came here and out-coached us and outplayed us and won the football game. So, when you look back on this, and a lot of people that don't play or hadn't played in a while and don't coach understand, just how disappointing a loss is. And it's not because of what it does for our season or what it does to the conference race. It's that you've disappointed a lot of people. And this thing all starts with me. I'm the head coach. And ultimately, my main job in this thing is to get my players ready to play. And I didn't do that. I let them down, let every fan down and university down. And so I got to do a much better job. And, we're still learning how to win. And you have to have a process-driven program. And when you watch the film, we had 18 missed tackles. The energy on the sideline was not what it should be. And all those things, when I watched the film, leads to the fact that we weren't ready to play that football game. I mean, we had 7 yards average of rush, completed over 73% of our balls, at 110 yards total offense at half. So a lot of those things just lead back to the same thing is, we got to respect the process, and we still hadn't quite learned how to be a disciplined football team. The opening drive, we late hit the quarterback on third down.
Because it's going to be fourth down. You're going to get the football without that hit.
And then that's 7 points.
Yeah.
You talk about Tremaine at the end of the game, breaks a long run, and then we jump off sides. Get us 1st and 15, incomplete, then we bobble a snap. And no one's going to be successful on 4th and 10. I mean, you need to get into 4th and 3 and 4.
But we will say this: that's the first 4th down you've missed on all year,
yeah.
Right? Because you had been perfect on 4th down up until then.
So I look at it this way: is a lot of times in my life, some of the most crushing things that's happened when you get distance from it and you have space and you look back on that moment, it's one of the best things that's ever happened to you. So maybe it opened up some blind spots that you had. It certainly did on our football team, and so now. The trick is, and my message to the team is, you can't let Shorter beat us twice. I mean, if we go 2-2, so tell me how that's going to help us beat Murray. It has no effect on that game. And so the thing I'm just wanting to make sure is they realize, hey, they're still a good football team. As far as coaches, we've all won. I've won 8 championships. So I have confidence, but my locker room hasn't won. And so now they're listening to how can you lose to a D2 program and all this. So the confidence, they start getting shaken, and you just got to remind them, you're the same team that played Murray or Missouri, the same team that played SIU. SIU just knocked off a top 10 program. And then you're with a play of beating a top 25 1AA program. You're still that team, but you got to realize the difference between winning and losing is small. The margin is thin, and you got to learn how to not lose games first. And so I just want to get over that hump, and I think it starts with penalties. We're I think 8 out of 9 in penalties in our league, and we're going to. And
that's opposite of last year because you were the second least penalized team in the league a year ago.
Yeah, and so that's the message, and it's hard when you it's hard when you play hard and you put so much into it and you want to do well. Sometimes those penalties happen, but it's not okay. We got to eliminate them. And that is the main goal this week. And my main goal, I'm the discipline coach this week, and, do a great job with it.
What's interesting, SEMO moved Division I in football in 1991. The 2 best teams I've ever had were the 2010 team where they won the championship, and 2002 with Willie Ponder. They won 8 games. That year, they should have lost to Division II at home, a team called Arkansas Monticello. They had to complete a 4th down on the final drive, and Ponder had to score a touchdown in the final seconds to send it to overtime. And then I think they won it in double overtime, came that close to losing. 8-win team, second best team at Division I in terms of victories. And there's only been one men's basketball team that has ever gone to the NCAA tournament at SEMO, and that was the 99-2000 team. They lost an exhibition to a Division II at the Show Me Center. I've heard coaches say a lot. Sometimes you can say whatever you want about it. You got to be motivated. These guys are coming to play. These guys that are playing on the field, they understand what the name is on the jersey. And sometimes it's tough for guys to believe that they could lose a game like that.
I agree. And I told them Sunday, if you need a cheerleader, just leave now. If you need fans, you shouldn't have come here. That's not who I want. I want a guy that's passionate about this. This is the greatest game ever invented. And if you can't get excited for 11 games, then, you know, your wood might be wet. You just lost your fire, buddy. You know, and that's the message. And I just think, you know, we took the eye off the prize a little bit. And like I said, it's just, they're still learning how to win and learning how to be a process-driven program.
I know one of the biggest things that people have asked me after the game and up until right now is, you know, hey, Paul McRoberts had 2 catches in the football. You've probably heard that ad nauseum. What were your thoughts there? He caught one ball in the second half. I think he had 25 passing yards there in the second half. I mean, you're running the ball great. I mean, yet you really had no problem running the ball. That hasn't been an issue. You're the second leading rushing team in the conference behind Jacksonville State, who's the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, I mean that's not okay. You know, that's why it's hard to even get off the couch in the morning, because you lose a game, your best player touched the ball twice. So we put that on the long list of things we got to do a better job of. And it's tough. You know, you ask Urban Meyer, you know, they moved that guy from quarterback to receiver, and he's had 100 yards of offense, and he can't figure out how to get him the ball. And Julio Jones you know, plays for Atlanta Falcons. They're trying to figure out how to get him the ball, because it's just harder. When you're a running back, you could flip it to him. But we can't let that be an excuse. And so that's one of the things we're working on as an offensive staff of how we can do that, and, you know, not just hike it and throw it to him. Like that's what you do when you're at a junior high program. Like, you don't just do that. But we got to take shots. It's a little easier to take shots in red zone, which is something we didn't have. You know, when you get in the red zone, now you can take shots because you don't worry about a safety coming over and all those type of things and picking the ball. But, you know, I'm looking forward to Paul having a really good game this Saturday.
Dante Vandeven, his first start for you as a Division I player. He had the great fourth quarter at Indiana State. He finishes his day 13 of 17, very efficient, 104 yards, an interception, a long pass play of 20 yards, and he had his first rushing touchdown. Grade out what you saw from your freshman quarterback, Dante.
You know, I'd say very good. You know, when you say, hey, this is the first game he started and he's a true freshman, I'm excited. You know, he you know, the interception, something that he'd tell you wish you wouldn't have thrown, but those are going to happen. He may throw a pick against Murray. That's just a part of it. You know, the other things, you know, the offsides was a cadence kind of an issue. And so we got to kind of clean those things up. You know, his rides on some of those where he, you know, bobbled the snap. You know, some of those things are the things I'm wanting to clean up. And, you know, if you know, completed that many percent of our balls and we're running the ball well, people want to know, why aren't we throwing it more? You didn't need to necessarily, and we were doing well. We just kind of shot ourselves in the foot because shorter, limited possessions. Couldn't get them off the field, so our offense just didn't have a lot of opportunities, and that hurt it as well.
Now, it was 36.5 minutes to 23.5 minutes, so they had 13 more minutes, but some of that evened up late. At one point, they were almost twice the time of possession.
Exactly.
That's one of the benefits of that triple option is you control the clock.
Yep. And, you know, we lost the game in the second half, and really you look at it, we lost the game on third down. They were in third and long, and that type of offense, you got to get off field.
Yeah.
And they converted those third downs, and all those drives turned to scores, and more than anything, it kept our offense on the sidelines. And so it was a frustrating day, and that's what that type of team does to you.
You know, when you've got a freshman at quarterback and you really have limited experience with him in Division I situations, practice is one thing. Practice is not a game, and you can think about all those things. But with the, you know, you're in field goal range, interception right before halftime, does that affect play calling in the second half? Because you really, I know you want to limit opportunities maybe that, you know, the other team might be able to do something with him.
Well, you're just working at what is working, you know, and you just, you know, obviously if you can average 7 yards a rush, you're going to get it every time. Yeah. You don't have a drop ball. You don't have, you know, protection issues. So you just run the ball down and score, you know. And so just didn't feel the need to throw it that much because we were having so much success the other way. And then got in longer yardage situation, and then now it's a lot harder to throw.
Boy, one of the great stories in this football game, last year, freshman Brendan Stewart, who is from Carlinville, Illinois, he didn't get a lot of playing time, but when he played, he was good. He averaged 6 yards a carry. He just didn't get a lot of playing time.
Yeah.
Well, now with the injury, unfortunately, for DeMichael, now Brendan Stewart gets an opportunity to play. You're talking about a guy that rushed for 4,400 yards and 72 touchdowns in high school. I mean, those are pretty impressive numbers. He got a shot on Saturday and scored his first 2 collegiate touchdowns. He runs hard, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's big back, and that's what we want is a compliment to Tremaine. We want that, that size that he can get those inside yards and break arm tackles and those type of things. And I think he'll tell you, though, we've been able to run the ball because that's who we are. That's in our DNA, and the guys that are blocking for him, they're doing a great job. Tremaine threw a couple tremendous blocks, but Lewis Washington's a guy no one talks about, but the value he adds on our team is just, I mean, you can't say enough about it.
And he's a fifth-year senior. He's a guy who's been through a lot of wars at Division I in a Red Hawk uniform.
Exactly right. And so I think, some of the short yardage, we're going to have a mobile quarterback. We're going to run our quarterbacks, but we can't make a living that way. And so, it was one thing we moved Tay in and got him some yards, and then he got injured. And so it's going to be a little more by committee of just making sure, one guy ain't getting all the carries because you're just not going to be able to hold up.
Yeah, normally you don't see a quarterback take as hard a hit as Tay Bender took. It had to be that he didn't see the guy.
Yeah, exactly
it just didn't look like he saw him. He left with his non-throwing shoulder, his left shoulder in a sling. Do we know anything more with Tay Bender?
No, unfortunately don't. We had a problem with our insurance, so he wasn't able to get an MRI until 2 o'clock today, I think is when it's coming. But that is what happened as a runner. You see things coming and you brace, you prepare, you da-da-da. And this thing come out of the corner of his eye, and he didn't see it. We missed a block and injured his shoulder.
All right, we'll find out more about Tay Bender, but the plan going into the game, you and I talked about it prior, you were going to get him in there a little bit because you're talking about a 6'4" guy that runs a 4.4 40-yard dash. He had just set a school record with his 80-yard touchdown run at Indiana State. Now you lose to Michael Jackson. Those carries have to go to somebody, and you said, hey, Tay Bender can help us on offense.
Yeah, I don't think a guy should go from 70 plays to no plays. He's still, we won a great football game with him being our quarterback at SIU. He's been able to show that he's ran the ball all year long, and so let's give him some of those opportunities, because also without DeMichael, and so now if we lose him too, that creates another opportunity for us to maybe give those plays to another deserving kid.
Speaking of SIU, they beat a top 15 program in Liberty over the weekend. That's a pretty good win for the Salukis. Shows you they're a pretty good football team.
Yep. A lot of, like you were there at the game. I mean, they have a lot of talent. You don't almost beat a Big Ten team because you're terrible. And so, that's what I want our team to realize, you are good enough to win them all, but buddy, you can lose them all too. And so, what's it going to be and how are you going to prepare?
By the way, Redhawks athletic director Brady Barkey is here, and we're going to be talking with him coming up in just a few minutes. When you talk about Brady Barkey, that's a guy, when you're in a golf tournament, you want him on your team, kind of like Kent Phillips.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Former college golfers. Those are guys you kind of want to bring in as ringers.
Well, that's because he's been in administration. Now that he's in athletics, his golf game will go way down.
You think so?
Yeah, because he'll be actually working now.
We'll ask him what his handicap is. It may you may be right. You may be right about that. And we'll also ask him, he played collegiately at Webster University. So did his wife. And she's a Hall of Famer, and he is not.
Yeah, it's kind of rough how that he's not the best athlete in his family.
How that plays at the kitchen table occasionally.
I know where my money's at. I'm at, there's no doubt.
All right. The performance by Tremaine McCullough for your football team, that's back-to-back 100-yard games. that's pretty good when you lose a guy who is 8th on the all-time rushing list into Michael Jackson, and we'll talk more about him in a minute because I know he's had his surgery. But to be able to bring in a guy who is able to put back-to-back 100-yard games together, that's a little depth at running back.
Yeah, that's the thing. As a head coach, you look at your roster and you got to understand, you can't have it, try to build some depth. And we knew, as much as we want to run running backs, that we were a little short there. And so we were able to sign him. We knew all along what kind of player he was and, got more touches and took advantage of him.
What's interesting, for anybody that looks at Tremaine's junior college numbers, 504 yards, 4 touchdowns last year, that doesn't tell the story because at Arizona Western Community College, they were loaded in the backfield.
Exactly. People don't know. That's why we could recruit him. The head coach told me, hey, he could play in the Pac-12. You're getting a steal. I said, yeah, I know, because I knew him out of high school. I was at Northern Illinois. I was going to recruit him, got hired at Toledo. Completely different recruiting model, so I didn't end up recruiting him. And 2 years later, he's playing for you.
Well, injuries have been an issue, other than than Tay Bender and the shoulder, and we'll know more. Any other injuries of significance in the football game against Shorter?
We got pretty banged up. I don't know if anybody will miss, but there's certainly a lot more. That list I get was a lot bigger, just the style of offense, a lot of cutting, a lot of things happening that way. And so, we're banged up.
All right. Murray State game, by the way, 6:00 on Saturday night at Houck Stadium. Now, as far as looking back at DeMichael Jackson, we know he's out for the year. The good news is he is eligible for a medical red shirt, and I know he was undergoing surgery. Do we have an update on DeMichael?
Yep, he had surgery yesterday, about an hour and a half surgery. Went really well. He's at home. Talked to his parents, and he's feeling. Last night he couldn't have been any better. DeMichael doesn't have too many bad days.
Yeah.
But this morning, some of that medicine wore off a little bit, and he was a little more crusty a little bit. But he's going to be doing fine, and I'm glad we're going to get him back for another year. Obviously, I wish he was still playing for us.
That's a revolutionary surgery. The ability to repair an ACL before, that was it. I mean, before this surgery, that was it. You were done as an athlete. Yep. Or as an effective athlete. Maybe you'd be a weekend warrior type guy, but you're not playing collegiately or professionally. I know there are different ways that they perform the ACL. Sometimes they take it out of your arm. Sometimes they take it out of your leg. Sometimes they take it from a cadaver. Do we have any info on his surgery?
I don't know which one they did.
Okay.
Travis Sanders also is getting surgery Wednesday. And so, both of those will start their rehab, and they're planning to get back.
And sometimes people might say, now, wait a minute, Sanders was a week before. Why is he just now? Oftentimes, some guys' knees really swell, and they won't operate until that swelling has subsided.
Right. Travis is one that didn't know if he wanted to come back. He's got a lot of his classmates or seniors he's been with. School, he's on track to graduate, and he wasn't sure. And so we just said, hey, why don't you take some time before you go in and
Gotcha.
Decide that. And then, he's, Coach, I want to play one more year. And so we ended up doing it. He's playing at a high level, but he doesn't really have the dream of playing in the NFL. He, just wants another year with his teammates here.
All right. Have you got your order in yet? Because we're going to bring the athletic director up here next.
I'm going to get it in.
Okay, so you're getting it in now. All right, let's take a timeout. Brady Barkey, athletic director at Southeast, will join us. We are at Wings, etc. And don't forget, they have their 1-year anniversary. The Cape location turns 1 tomorrow, and they have half-price appetizers. They've got adult beverage specials, and just go to any of their social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and either share or like Wings, etc., and you will get registered to win a $50 gift card, and that is good for both locations. Those half-price appetizers and drink specials also go for the Jackson location as well. The athletic director at Southeast Missouri State, Brady Barkey, is here. He'll join us next on the Kohlfeld Distributing Redhawks Coaches Show with Coach Tuke at Wings, etc.
Maybe it's cold, but this weather's got you thinking about heading to the bar for an ice-cold Coors Light. Maybe it's a
Network. For the Saturday Morning Express. Catch it every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. on ESPN.
It is the Coalfeld Distributing Redhawks Coaches Show with Coach Tuke. We are at Wings, etc. in the Cape Girardeau location. We'll be back here in Cape next week as well. Hope you'll make plans to join us from noon until 1 o'clock on Tuesday. And don't forget, tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of the Cape Girardeau store. So in honor of that, specials tomorrow just for you. It is their 1-year anniversary. Half-price appetizers. That's awesome. Adult beverage specials. That's terrific. And with all the social media exploding, go to their social media pages, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. Share or like Wings, etc., and you can get registered to win a $50 gift card. And don't forget about all of their lunch specials. They have half-pound daily lunch specials starting at just $6.49. Food and drink specials throughout the week. They've got their 59-cent wings on Mondays, and it is a kid-friendly environment. They have a terrific kids menu. My daughter likes the macaroni and cheese. They've got family-friendly video games in the dining room, and, of course, Wings open 7 days a week, late on the weekends, because the games sometimes go late. So it is Wings, etc., proud to bring you the Coalfeld Distributing Redhawks Coaches Show with Coach Tuke. The athletic director at Southeast Missouri State is Brady Barkey. He is here. I guess first order of business is, I know a lot of Redhawk fans were excited when they saw that baseball coach Steve Beazer has signed a new 4-year contract extension. He was an Indian here, played his baseball here, made it all the way to the major leagues, has come back to his alma mater, and has become the first baseball coach ever to lead this school to back-to-back conference championships.
Yeah, I think the fans are probably just as excited as I am. He was one that I oversaw baseball back when I was over in athletics in 2013 when he was the interim. And he was on my radar. The first thing, one of the first things on the list to try and accomplish when I came over, and he and I started talking from the start. And it was a long process, but he's certainly one that we need to try and keep as long as we could.
But because right now, I mean, you're talking about mid-40s for Steve Beazer. Keeps himself in terrific shape. He has major league pedigree. Now he's got championships on his resume. He's an attractive, coach for schools that want to have a successful baseball program.
Absolutely. There's no doubt that one day he'll be in one of the power conferences and he'll do great things there. But for right now, we'll try and keep him and let him continue to build his resume as long as he wants to be here. We're happy to have him as a Redhawk.
Yeah, just keep racking up those championship rings, right?
That's right.
All right. They are going to open, I think, about a week later this year than they have been. I know they've been open in mid-February. I think they're going to push that back to later February this year. I think they head down to Lamar University down in Texas. It seemed like it was getting earlier and earlier every year, but I think it's going to be about a week later this year.
Yeah, and we're glad to have them getting down a little further south. It seemed like they were getting closer and closer to Cape earlier and earlier in the year, and that isn't a recipe for successful baseball early in the year. So
2 years ago he was able to dodge bullets. The weather was good, and then last year, boy, we got soaked in. We got ice storms. Had to move series. That's always a pain, because setting up series and then seeing the weather really play havoc. Then you've got to go out and start making phone calls. What field is going to be available? They went down to Louisiana and had to play a couple of series on neutral fields.
Yeah, and not to mention the toll it takes on the field too. And it doesn't set up well for the rest of the season when you're trying to get on the field and you've got some some freezing issues and whatnot, and pretty soon that field doesn't turn over the way you want it to, and you don't have a good rest of the year at home. So really glad they're able to get down south a little bit.
And a lot of people excited that he will be back and his coaching staff will be back. And they've got the pitcher of the year in the OVC coming back, too. That always helps when you've got somebody to anchor that pitching staff. All right. It is almost basketball season. In fact, Rick Ray's team, the Redhawk men, start practice on Friday. And Rika Patterson's women's squad is going to start practicing the following Monday. So basketball is literally here.
this is where it's a really crazy time of year because, of course, all the fall sports are in full swing, but then basketball starts to kick in, and it's just so exciting right now with with Rick and Rika, and a lot of new faces, on those programs, and I think there's a lot of reason for people to be excited to come out and kind of see what the new style and new brand of basketball is going to be like for both the men and the women.
Okay, Mark Allnut was responsible for making the hires of the basketball coaches, but you had a big hand in this. I mean, you were right there with Mark Allnut through this entire hiring process, right?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough, both with Coach Tuke and with Rick, to assist Mark with both of those searches, and so we were the two that interviewed the candidates and kind of did some headhunting to try and find some folks that we could recruit here, and Rick was one of those folks that we were able to attract, and I think Mississippi State's loss is our gain.
Well, that's just it. I mean, the Ohio Valley Conference to snatch a coach who was in the Southeastern Conference. And it's not like, maybe you get an SEC coach and, he's 70 years old. He's kind of coming up the 18th fairway of maybe his coaching career. Not the case. I mean, Rick Ray is in his prime. I mean, he is, always known as a great recruiter.
Yeah. And I've told a few people, when they ask me what I think about, somebody coming from a place like the SEC and the fact that they might not be here as long as, what you'd hope. I said, that's okay, because we need somebody that can kind of really take the program to the next level. And quite honestly, he's somebody who I think is going to come in with a little chip on his shoulder because he didn't get to finish his business at Mississippi State. And those are the same kinds of things that I think our coaches look for, when they're recruiting people, is somebody that has a little edge to them, that has something that they want to prove. And I think that can ultimately, be a success for us. So I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do.
One of the big questions when Coach Ray came in was, is Antonius Cleveland, is Marcus Wallace, some of these good young guys that are probably on the verge of being all-conference caliber players, when there's a coaching turnover, oftentimes emotions run high, your loyalties, are divided. Are they going to leave? He had to recruit those guys, not just those two, but those are the two of the key players. He had to his big first recruiting job was the guys that were already wearing Redhawk jerseys, right?
Yeah, and I was glad to hear him say that because so often that is something that you kind of forget in the process. You're so busy trying to figure out what holes you have to fill, and you forget about the ones that are going through a real major change. And so I was glad to see that he really, to be honest, I think he put as much of a priority on that as he did trying to find coaching staff. And sometimes that's a challenge too.
All right, so you're talking about bringing in a coach who has played, has been a part of NCAA tournament teams, coming from the Southeastern Conference on the men's side. And then you've got Rika Patterson coming in to coach the women. Oh, yeah, she does have a national championship ring down at Baylor and was part of the coaching staff when Brittany Griner was there, arguably the most dominant women's basketball player ever, at least in the last, 25 years.
Yeah, and she's not afraid to talk about it either. You walk into her office, and she's got a nice little display box with her rings there, and that national championship ring is sitting there on the desk for everybody to see. And you know what? That's a heck of a recruiting tool.
And she's familiar with the OVC. She was on a staff at Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, and understanding what it's like at this level, this size, budget, those types of things, that's often a big learning curve. And so to have somebody that already has familiarity with that too is a bonus.
Brady Barkey, the athletic director at Southeast Missouri State University, they say interim. I'll throw that in there, but you are the acting athletic director. Is this something because you pursued your law degree, right? I mean, have you passed the bar?
Yeah, I passed the bar in Missouri.
So you are a lawyer. And is this something professionally that interests you, being an athletic director at a Division I program?
It's something I always wanted to do. That was really the reason I went to law school. To be honest, was to have a career in sports. Didn't necessarily know what form that would take, and and whatnot. But I certainly enjoy it. I enjoy what I'm doing, and trying to continue to move the department and the programs forward. And we'll see what the future holds. And I want to focus on seeing how much better we can make this thing during the time I've got, and then we'll go from there.
It's interesting because some of the people that you've worked with, Athletic Director Mark Allnut, former football player at Mizzou, and has always been in athletic administration. And then when you go work for President Dobbins, his background is in accounting. So you've really, run the gamut there, but you get to see how all of the departments and all of those skill sets all come together.
Yeah, and I think that's really been a huge benefit for me, actually, in this role. I have such a better appreciation of how things work across campus, and I have so many relationships that I'm able to to call upon folks and try and get some help with some things that we need, not only from a resource standpoint, but also just navigating some of the minds across campus. So it's really been beneficial for me.
And for anybody that is a backer of Red Hawk athletics, when the announcement was made that Dr. Dobbins was stepping down, one of your first thoughts probably shifted to, boy, I hope it's a president that appreciates athletics. And from what we understand, Dr. Carlos Vargas does have a background, especially in soccer. I know he kicked out the ceremonial first kick for the first Red Hawks soccer game, but Dr. Vargas appears to be an athletics guy, right?
Yeah, it's such a delicate balance, in academia between, academic affairs and athletics, and where that right balance is. But, he's someone, he doesn't have a ton of background in it, but he certainly understands the role that athletics plays in a university and how that can benefit, not only the student experience, but the alumni and all of those things. And so, we're working very hard to try and figure out ways that we can enhance, athletics, not only from a resource standpoint, but also just, from a visibility and reputation, and try and see how we can make it a bigger piece of the university fabric.
Now, you played collegiate basketball and were a collegiate golfer at Webster University. Working in the president's office as you had been, seemed like that may take a toll on a guy's golf game.
I actually joked. I think Tuke was right. I did play golf more, I think, in the president's office than I did over in athletics.
Did? So it doesn't take a toll on your golf game.
Yeah, you play a few more scrambles and out of the competitive golf realm. But certainly I don't play. I haven't touched them but once, I think, since I've been over here the last couple months. So.
Boy, but you being the athletic director, you can encourage. Okay, we need more golf tournaments. Let's get some more golf tournaments. We need to be involved in some more golf tournaments, and I need to be front and center at those tournaments.
I think we may need some donor visits out on the golf course. I'll see if I can get Nate to work on setting a few of those up.
Now, see, we brought it up with Coach Tuke. Your wife Hallie is a Hall of Famer. She was a multi-sport athlete in college. You played basketball and golf, so multiple sports, but does she sign her name HOF?
Fortunately for me, she doesn't.
Okay.
She made a lot of layups in her career, but those points still count the same. And so I was smart enough. I knew I wanted my kids to have a chance to have an athletic career, and so I married up.
All right, Jackson, Mabry, and the newest addition, Colby. So you've got 3 children, and how old is Colby now?
Colby's about 7 weeks or so. So he's old news almost. It seems like he's been around enough that I think people have seen him. But yeah, he's taking a nap, I think, over in a booth right now.
Shocking that a baby would be taking a nap.
Yeah,
I know
that's a good problem.
Now. We talked about basketball getting ready to start practice. It's all over at the Show Me Center for the most part. I know they're still finalizing some things, but I have been in there. I know there have been pictures on social media, people that have been wanting to get their season tickets. They have been inside the Show Me Center to look at all the renovations. What is your review of what you've seen in terms of the facelift that the Show Me Center received?
Well, I think from a fan experience and from just the arena, we have now the best facility in the Ohio Valley Conference. I think the video board You know, the fact that the old scoreboard with the Christmas lights, you know, for the numbers, the fact that that fits inside of the new video board tells you something about how big it is.
It is big.
And the fact that you can turn the lights off and on and not have to wait 15 minutes for them to heat back up and turn on, and bigger seats, and you know, all of that, it's all positive. Aside from the fact that we had to shuffle some people around because the seating configuration was a little bit different, but all in all, you know, everybody that's been in it, I think, has understood that any of those sacrifices certainly are worth making for what we were able to do with the renovation.
And a lot of the seats look similar. I mean, you're not going to walk in and say, wow, this place is – the one thing that is cosmetically – well, a couple of things. Down in the student section – at their end, it is no longer chair back seating. It is bleacher seating. It's not the metal, cold aluminum bleachers. It's the same, I don't know what kind of surface, some plastic or whatever the chair backs are, but it's the same consistency. What was the thought process with the bleacher seats where students can be more mobile or fit more of them in?
Well, you know, I think number one, it gave us an opportunity when we widened the seats. I think it gave us an opportunity to add some capacity to that area, but also you know, from my standpoint, I think it gives us a lot better shot of having a better student section, get them out of those seats and, you know, stop being so comfortable and maybe stand up a little bit, or, you know, squeeze together a little bit more. And then I guess we have to figure out how to cram them all in there and how to get them to come to the games. Well,
obviously the main attraction is the 4-sided center hung video board. And they put some different things up on the video board when we were over there testing our radio equipment. So we kind of got to see it in all of its glory. Not only the new video board, but a completely new sound system as well.
Yeah, and you know, that's gonna give us the ability to do a lot more from a fan experience standpoint. It's going to give us a lot of flexibility with sponsorships and opportunities for businesses to you know, be able to promote themselves, and I think all in all, you know, it's going to add a lot to that experience, and you know, looking forward to it.
And you know, a lot more video capabilities, a chance to show the crowd replays, different things. I don't know if Kiss Cam is on the menu, but that's an option. I really believe you need a permanent camera for, you know, the radio broadcasting teams. So that's always an option, but it's nice to have options.
It is nice to have options. I say radio, you know, maybe we'll stick with radio.
Yeah.
But that certainly is, you know, it's nice to give us all of that flexibility that we can make it a really good experience, and the video replay and being able to put stats up on the video board and all those things are really, you know, good features.
And it's not just the video board. You've got new scoreboards on each end on you know, past the end zones, and then the end zone, which is opposite the student section. It used to be where people would walk along and you could just sit down in the chair in your seat and then kind of even step on the court. That's different now. They've got it kind of railed off.
Yeah, it's actually elevated a little bit. I think the first few rows aren't there, and so it actually starts elevated a little bit. It gives a little bit more room along those, you know, end lines, and you know, hopefully that'll help too with the spirit squads and things as they're on the sidelines and whatnot. Just to give a little bit more space around the floor.
Yeah, more obstacles though for Rowdy to get up into the crowd. He's going to have to work on his aerobics.
Yeah, definitely, but that's all right.
All right, soccer is off to a great start. They played a scoreless tie against SIU Edwardsville Friday and just exploded on Eastern Illinois. Boy, 5 goals. The Redhawk volleyball squad over the weekend, they split 2 matches. They've got a home match tonight with UT Martin, so we're off and running in conference play now for both volleyball and soccer.
Yeah, and I think we're going to have the tailgate crews though out for every soccer game from here on out after a 5-goal performance. I think Joe and the Moose Knuckles and the rest of them are going to have to be out for that now.
The Moose Knuckles. Now you're going to have to follow up with that.
Well, you know, there's a group, there are a few groups. We certainly Wings, etc. was out there, but a couple of the tailgate groups also that are generally out there for football games. They made their appearance on Sunday in the end zone for soccer, and it was a nice little atmosphere that they had created down there, and I think the players responded with a nice 5-goal performance.
Well, the hardware is really starting to stack up for some of these sports. women's soccer, another championship last year, baseball, back-to-back championships. So we're starting to see a little more hardware in the trophy case.
Yeah, I hope that continues, and we can get it spread the wealth a little bit through some of the other programs that maybe gone a little bit too long without any. But yeah, I think collectively we have the best group of coaches that we've had certainly since I've been here, and you know, maybe since we've been Division I, top to bottom. So I'm really excited about what the future holds.
All right, first things first, though, you got to beat the Racers, Murray State. That's an arch rival. The Racers have beaten SEMO in football 39 times. Redhawks have beaten them 9. So that it needs to start this Saturday. But 6 of the 9 have come at Houck Stadium. So we've got them on our turf.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I certainly think that the team and the staff are going to be ready for that one. And I watched a little bit of Murray's game that was televised last week, and watched them play a little bit. And you know, certainly I'm not sure that there's anybody in the league that I don't feel like we can you know, line up opposite and compete. So you know, I'm ready for it, and bring it.
And one of the perks of the job, you get your own suite now. The athletic director has a suite there at Houck Stadium, and there were some upgrades with the suites, with the press box, and with the sound system. I know we had some typical opening day issues, like with the microphone for the referee. All that was ironed out this past week against Shorter University, but it was about a $500,000 facelift over there, right?
Yeah, some really nice improvements there. The press boxes and suite area, although mine is really just a cage for my kids to try and keep them corralled during the game. But you know, some really nice improvements there, just to be able to structurally help it out, and you know, put some makeup on it, make it look a little bit better. But then the sound system is certainly much improved. It's actually, you know, now the sound's coming at you as opposed to, you know, being right on top of you and being deafening for some of those fans that sit right underneath the speakers. We're trying to get the microphone issue figured out. Every time
it's opening day, I can't tell you, every opening day for radio, for whatever it is, there are going to be issues. That's just the way it is.
Well, there's just so much more interference when you get to game day and you get all the people in and all the technology and everything. You know, there's an issue in there somewhere, and we just got to figure out where it's at.
The good news is about corralling your kids in the luxury suite is Colby is not mobile yet.
That's right. Good. He's not. The other two, though, very much so are, and they like to fight. So it's sometimes a challenge.
You just put the Hall of Famer on them then, right?
That's right. That's right.
All right. Great to see you, and we will see you Saturday at the football game. Thanks so much.
That sounds great. Thank you.
That's Brady Barkey, athletic director at Southeast Missouri State. Coach Tuke will rejoin us. We'll talk about the Racers, who have the #1 passing quarterback in the entire conference. He'll be at Houck Stadium coming up on Saturday at 6 o'clock. The Kofeld Distributing Redhawks Coaches Show from Wings, etc. and Cape continues after this on SEMO ESPN. Welcome back to Wings, Etc. It is the Colfeld Distributing Redhawks Coaches Show with Coach Tuke. We're at the Cape Girardeau location, and we will be back here in Cape next week. Speaking of the Cape location, they celebrate their 1-year anniversary tomorrow, and you get to celebrate half-price appetizers, adult beverage specials, and if you go to any of their social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, just like or share Wings, Etc., and you get a chance to win a $50 gift card courtesy of Wings. Coach Tuke is here, and got to talk a little bit about the Murray State Racers. The one thing that they bring to Cape Girardeau is a top-notch passing game. In terms of passing offense in the OVC, they are number one. Their quarterback not only leads the league in passing yards, K.D. Humphreys Jr., he also leads the league in touchdown passes. He threw 27 touchdown passes last year, second most all-time in Murray State history. He's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, he was good last year. He's even better this year, and he's in the perfect system, and they recruited to their system. They got, just fabulous skill out there. Guys that aren't big, they're more like Tremaine McCullough's. That can just do a lot after they catch it. So that's a concern. And, our defense has to get their eyes right and feet set and can't have a lot of run after catch, and you got to make them earn they get. They're going to have a yards. And so everybody they're going to have, 300 to 400 yards passing because that's just what that offense does. We just got to do a great job creating turnovers and in the red zone, making them kick field goals, making them earn their way down there. Don't, let a big play happen and you get a cheap 7 on there.
All right, they come in 1-3. They dropped their OVC opener last week, 31-29 to Tennessee Tech, a game they should have won. They lost 4 fumbles. Yeah. They had an interception, a missed field goal, and still only lost by 2 points. I mean, you turn it over 5 times and miss a field goal, more often than not, you get blown out in a game like that.
Yeah, exactly. They're a much improved football team than a year ago, I think, talent-wise, and they just didn't play that good and still had a chance to win the game or at least take it to overtime with a 2-point play and, came up short. And I know they're sick to their stomachs over that and looking forward to playing us.
And not only do they have some elite wide receivers this year, but all time at Murray State, you got Janoski Davis, who comes in, is 9th all time in receptions, tied for 4th all time in touchdown passes, and then Jeremy Harness, who's also a senior, 3rd all time in receptions and 5th in yards. So you're talking about 2 guys, top 5 all time in the history of their program playing wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean they really bring a lot of people back from a year ago, and so it's a really dangerous team. And it's a perfect team for us, and to find out where we're at, and what we feel like we can accomplish this year.
And they also bring back an All-American linebacker named Jonathan Jackson. He led the league in tackles last year, and he comes in, I think, top 15 in tackles this season, and just had a pretty big game, forced a fumble last week against Tennessee Tech. Their middle linebacker is 3rd in the OVC in tackles. One of their outside linebackers, 5th in the league in tackles. The one thing about Murray State, they've played 2 money games, 2 FBS opponents in Northern Illinois and Western Michigan. And so, that accounts for 2 of their losses, and they were just an eyelash away from Tennessee Tech. Aren't you glad you don't have to play 2 money games?
Yeah, I wouldn't be here. Someone else could do that. But they got their front 7 now is very good. They got the Auburn transfer D tackle. It may have been newcomer of the week this week, but he had several TFLs, and they're
Elijah
thick.
Daniel. He had 6 tackles for loss last week and 3 sacks. I mean, he was all over the place.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, the reason Auburn took him, I guess. So their front 7's a challenge, and really looking forward to that because I really feel like our offensive line and tight ends, fullbacks have done a good job. So we'll, look forward to see how that matches up.
And they're deep at linebacker. Jalen Harrington, who's a senior, transferred from Louisville, and when he was at Louisville, they won the Sugar Bowl beating the Florida Gators. I mean, that's pretty deep when he's a backup linebacker.
Yeah, exactly right. So, they got some really good players. When they get off the bus, they look really good. I think they got banged up in the secondary. Demontre Wade, I don't believe, played last week because he had a concussion. Not sure what's going to happen with him this week, and so I think they're, you know, in the passing game they've given up some yards. So I think they because of some injuries and they might get a lot of those guys back this week.
Pass defense, they're last in the league, but again, they've played 2 FBS programs. The thing that jumps out at you, other than the high-powered passing offense, they lead the league in third down conversions on offense. They're second in the league in third down conversion defense. So on third down, they're winning a lot of third downs.
I mean, you think about this stat. Tennessee Tech had 16 third down plays, and they converted 1.
And won the game. So, I mean, it's just a crazy – normally I go bananas over third down. I mean, that you usually lose a game that you went like that. But they were able to big play them a little bit, and then the turnovers just killed them. I don't think Murray had lost a fumble all season long, and then they lost 4 fumbles in that game. Yeah. And a lesson we know well here, and so that the key to this game is takeaways and the turnover margin, and we got to get back to that. All right. Does revenge play a factor at all in any of your players' mind? You had that game won. I mean, give Murray State credit; they scored a late touchdown and then got you in overtime. But you were an eyelash from winning that game at Murray last year. No, I mean, I think our players, it's in the back of their mind. I think it's just a big game. It's the start the OVC. They're regional. We recruit against them. And of course you lost last year, but series-wise, you look at they've had the better of us. So this is a great opportunity to do something not a lot of teams have done here. All right, you only beat them 9 times. Last week is flushed because I know that's a term you like to use as far as your kids go. Despite the fact that it was disappointing last week, it has no effect on conference play. Absolutely no effect. You would like to have won the game, but you're 0-0 in OVC play, and Murray's going to be a little desperate. They don't want to go 0-2 in the league. Yeah, it's going to be a great game. I think both teams are just going to come out really ready to play, and so it's going to be a fun matchup. I'm really looking forward to. All right, it'll be a 6 o'clock kickoff again, the final night game at Hawk Stadium this year. Coach, we appreciate it, and we will see you over at the football stadium on Saturday. Thank you. All right, get there early. The Red Hawk walk 2 hours before the game on Bellevue Avenue, and of course the tailgate will be going. They've got the inflatables for the kids. I think Gen X is going to be the musical entertainment, so a lot to do at the tailgate, and we invite you to stop by for that as well. Don't forget the 1-year anniversary of the Cape location of Wings Etc. tomorrow with their half-price appetizers and their beverage specials as well. We'll be right back here next week, next Tuesday at noon. We hope to see you at Hawk Stadium as the Red Hawks try to knock off the Racers Saturday at 6 o'clock. It is Van Pelt and Cannell coming up next, Rosillo and Cannell coming up next on ESPN Radio. So long, everybody, from Wings.
ESPN Radio Sports Network, 92.9 KLSC Malden.